Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Shadow and Sun Show. Welcome to your Thursday morning edition of Second Breakfast. How's everybody doing out there? Having a great day? I hope so. A little bit behind schedule this morning, but it's all good. Got a busy day ahead of us. Going to have a house full of teenagers again. So that means lots of pizza, lots of screaming, lots of kicking and biting. And I'm kidding. Just Jackie's going to have some friends over. So he and I spent some extra time last night working on his lore and working on my lore. Instead of making a video for you guys this morning, but rest assured I'll have something for you guys tomorrow before the Friday second breakfast. I was talking to a really good friend of mine about magic users and which ties in with a video I've been working on about letting magic users use magic. It seems over the years, people have just really wanted to make their life way more difficult. Like it wasn't already the most difficult class to run. Let's make it even harder. You might as well just, tell me you don't want magic users in the game, which is fine. I mean, you want to play a Conan esque kind of game. I get that, but, you know, I'm spoiled. I grew up in an era where they could do their thing, and if they were lucky, and they didn't just get taken out by an arrow at first level, then maybe you stood a chance. But what I've seen since second, not quite second edition, but everything that came after second edition, um, it just got harder and harder. Except Palladium. Palladium seemed to actually be one of those games that really liked magic users and kind of went out of their way to really give them a leg up, as it were. So, what are you guys up to this morning? What are you guys doing? You guys getting ready for the weekend? I am one step closer to having a full party for my fantasy espionage game. What's up, Steven? Long time no see. Double D show was interesting. I I'm so and always have been done with Wizards of the Coast since they got a hold of D&D. Everything they've done to it, um, and everything they've done was enough for me to just I don't care what they do. I'm not buying it. I'm just there's nothing they can put out that I'm going to buy. And while folks are scrambling for the new Dark Sun, I'm going to use this opportunity to buy up what I don't have of the old Dark Sun, because uh, the release of a new Dark Sun is going to drive the prices down for a period of time. Uh, and right, you know, uh, the old, you know, stuff is always going to be more valuable for a bunch of different reasons. But when like a new version of the same old thing comes out, it does lower the prices for the old things for a while. And while I don't even really like Dark Sun, I don't like no metal. Even though the story I'm reading is clearly one of the places they swiped a lot of ideas from, which I didn't realize until earlier this week. It's like, oh hey, this world, yeah, they don't have a lot of metal, so they're doing this thing. Um, okay, that's Dark Sunny. It's better, to be honest. I wish there was an RPG for this particular series of books. I mean, there kind of was stuff for it, but not really. That's the Magician Apprentice slash Rift Wars series. There, the invading world is actually, it's actually as if, imagine if your D&D world was invaded by a world entirely run by Karatur or the Oriental Adventures book, but they didn't have any metal. But they had magic that could open up portals to your D&D world to start raiding it for metal, and they tend to outnumber the invaded world by sometimes 5 and 10 to 1. But they got elves and they've got dwarves and Dank Sun, Moist Sun, Dry Planet. What's up, Squirrel? yeah, I just it was just a little too dark, and I really don't want to run around with bones and sticks and rocks. I'm metal through and through, guys. No metal, no thanks. Just no. Um, even like Barsoom is close to Dark Sun as it is had metal. Everybody was running around. That was one of the big things. You wore your medal, proudly, and everybody had some. And the more you had, the obviously the more prosperous you were. Uh, Interesting, Daryl. Yeah, I do collect settings as well, just for the off chance that I'm going to see or read something that'll spur me on to some other ideas, or help out with whatever I'm working on. And um, it was just I hate what they did with the hobbits, making them cannibals. That's just like something out of some sort of drug induced freaking hallucination, some sort of nightmare. Hobbits should always just be left to fucking alone. I don't even normally let them in my worlds because I have so much respect for Tolkien that you know those are his most unique creation, and no one's ever done it right. And they've always either turned it into a joke or worse. Awesome, Hungar, awesome. I'm sure he will appreciate that and wear it proudly his first day of school, or I will take away his car keys. Um, nice to hear it. I'm looking forward to grabbing some of the new Arduin shirts and some of the other new Arduin stuff. They, you know, uh, they put out some great stuff, but now in the last like 2 months, they have multiplied their inventory like by 50. It's insane. Yeah, no. In Dark Sun, hobbits are like these jungle pygmy cannibals that just drop out of the trees like they live in Australia and just eat you. It's just like, shut the fuck up. This is so wrong. Just a complete bastardization of everything that made hobbits great. I mean, there's plenty of little short, pudgy critters. You get your goblins and your kobolds and a bunch of other things in like the Monster Manual 2 and 3 that you could use for that same kind of fear, but the bastardization of them, turning them into the exact opposite. It's literally like that's all they did, other than make them tall. And even everything else is just like just so trying so hard to make it edgy and ugly. It really is ugly. There is no shining light. There is no there's no like room for hope. Hope for what? That you're going to turn this shitty desert planet into anything better? They've already destroyed it with their magical global warming bullshit. Even back then, you know, all them every magic user is just draining the planet and making it worse. Shut the fuck up. The magic and the world should be like in charge. They're not going to let this crap happen. They would just shut it off. If magic was literally destroying the world would just say, okay, no, yeah, I get that's the point, but um, I don't want that to infect me and make me a darker, uglier person by hanging out in a world where there's no hope. Earth's already got enough problems. I go there to get away, to find something better, not to find something worse and make my stress levels worse and gear my and turn my imagination to the dark and ugly. Let's see how I can make my players suffer more. Let's see if I can't make the shittiest pile of crap world. I mean, it should have literally just started with you live on a planet made out of shit, and every time you take a step, you're deeper. Thanks, but no thanks. You go be that masochist somewhere else. Don't bring that crap around my living space. right? I mean, think about it. I mean, that's like saying, okay, okay, after we're done with that, we're going to make it so that all beautiful women are ugly, mean, and nasty. I mean, gosh, they read my mind in places like Los Angeles and Seattle. No, no, women should be beautiful. Hobbits should be, charming and kind. Yeah, but I mean, let me ask you this: do you think heaven's going to be like that? Is that what you want when you get your ultimate reward? Is that kind of ugly darkness? Not me. I play these games to escape to a better place, a better world, where yeah, sure, things are going to be tough and maybe downright, terrifying from time to time, but not 24/7. That literally sounds like hell, and I don't, you know, I don't want to hang out there for like a long time. Uh, but at least with Ravenloft, uh, there's a force of good and a reason to be good. In Dark Sun, it's literally like saying, well, if you want to live, you kind of have to be evil. No thanks. I want some contrast. Dark Sun has no contrast. There's no bastion of good anywhere on the planet. Nowhere in the whole world. There's no goodness. Everybody's evil, and you better get with the program. Not a fan. What's up, Dean? Yeah, Hungar, you ought to grab the link and pop in every once in a while. I think it's been like forever in a day. Um, that's why I made Bright Sea in complete contrast with Dark Sun, because the ocean is terrifying, but yet it's beautiful. You know what I mean? I'd rather go that route than everything is ugly and terrifying. And to quote the great game War Games, the only way to win is to not play. Winner. Um, I never even really ran it other than you accidentally teleported here. Now you got to find a way to get the hell out. And even then, I think Dark Sun tried to make it impossible for that. It's like you can't leave. Like fuck you. I go where I want, right, Hungar? It's just, it's just there was no fun in that for me. Other folks, sure, but and I live in the desert, so um, I know like have a Coke and a smile. Nice. I haven't heard that in freaking 30 years, right? I don't drink soda anymore. I had a couple sips last night, and I'm like, oh god, I miss that. But gonna have to keep missing it because most of that stuff is so bad for you. You have no idea. Um, I mean, if you think about this, if you take a big ass nail and you drop it in a 2 liter bottle and come back in a couple of days, there's no nail. Yeah, that's scary. I also feel like Dark Sun also lacks some domain rules, whether it was token based or gold or population based. It's like simulate you gather an army and overthrow the Dragon Lords. Yeah, that's an you know redeeming factor in that you are trying to make the world a better place. But okay, so you kill off the Dragon Lords. I mean, that's going to take a crap ton of magic to do. You're not going to just do it with every single living thing just rising up and going, "Now we've had enough of your shit, and we're going to kill you without magic, so we can try to make the world better." Because then like in Dune, um, the the sort of thing I got from it was that the way they made the world better was to make so many people that when the people died, that their water, the little bit of water they were made out of, eventually was gathered into places where they could keep it as water until they had enough water to turn Arrakis back into a normal green world. you're going to need a lot of people for that, and you're going to need to import a lot of food to feed the people. Until you can start actually growing food to help terraform the planet into a green, lush world, which from what I remember happens. But that's a lot of people. I mean, I bet if anybody ever did the math, it would be like like literally like trillions or quadrillions of people would have to live and die to be turned into water to get enough water to do what eventually happens. It's kind of weird to me, but got to have a dream. So that was Frank Herbert's, and I think he was hitting the hash pipe a little too much. Yeah, ring him out. I like that. I just it's just not my cup of tea. But I'm still going to buy all the books so that I have them because, like I was telling somebody the other day, um, I want my own little Library of Congress or wing. The Shadow collection, the Shadow Library, where you know here's everything that was done. So that down in the bunker after the of the apocalypse. When somebody finds it, there's something to do. There's something to read. Uh, Hold on, let me go back here. Sorry, Xnard says I think he means I totally agree. There must be a balance of utopia with dystopia, and Dark Sun is a bleak shithole world setting. And if you've noticed, um, that has been the trend. I mean, when was the last time other than maybe some stuff Wizards of the Coast did to make uh, their My Little Pony Desert Island games. Has there been like a world that's like, oh my god, that's beautiful, oh that's awesome? It's all just everything is shit, and the challenge is to survive. How about the challenge is to put the book down, or better yet, throw it in the fireplace and get rid of it? Um, if all we do is play and imagine and dream of crappy worlds, you get places like Seattle and downtown Los Angeles where nobody cares, everything is shit, there's garbage everywhere. I don't want that. I want clean, tidy streets, beautiful shops, nice people, all that crap. That way the darkness or the grunge or the evil or whatever stands out more. It isn't just the norm. It's something that you see it and you're like, yeah, we need to do something about that. Not like, oh no, it sees us, we got to get out of here. Yeah, I mean, you're literally like dreaming that the bad guys win, and then pretending you can do something about it when you helped make it happen. Squirrel's slowly putting together a campaign based on the Vagrant Story video game. I don't know that game. I'll most likely use the neoclassical geek revival rules. Don't know them either. I mean, there's a lot of crap out there that I don't have any experience or any knowledge of. So maybe send me a link. I'll take a look. A couple people have sent me some stuff recently, and every once in a while I come across something that's really really cool, and I'll share it with you guys. Um, like even Arduin, it's got its ups and downs, but it's not all just like you know bleak and miserable. Mind you, there is a whole continent that's like, what do you call it? Post apocalyptic gamma worldian. Just like, oh, but it's also got great, beautiful, gorgeous cities and countrysides and mountains and forests and things like that. I just I'm working on a world right now, and there's a place on it that's all desert because a couple of very powerful magic users. They happen to be twin brothers. that were fighting over the kingdom, and they used their magic, and it got to the point where they just freaking, kind of nuked an area, and it's now the desert, and I know it's probably been done before like a million times, but it doesn't take up but maybe 30% of the map at most. Um, and mind you, there's other places. There's a dark forest and other places, but in between there's pastoral farmlands and forests and mountains and waterfalls and you know river folk and all kinds of cool crap. But I just I've done it. I've made like Gamma World worlds where they're all just messed up. Um, and back in the day, it was not really surprising when not a whole lot of people wanted to hang out there and adventure there. I think it's really best when it's a place that needs to be gotten through. You need to go from point A to point B, and to get there, you got to go through this bad place. Not let's try to become part of the bad place. Like the Mines of Moria is a perfect example. The whole world is beautiful, right? Except for that in Mirkwood in Mordor. And they got to go through this dark, scary place to get to the other side. What's on the other side? Freaking Rivendell, right? Um, and it's dark, it's scary, it's tragic. It's actually terrifying, to be honest. But I think honestly, the Mines of Moria are are the most classic example that we all mutually know about, that kind of defines what an underground dungeon delve should look and feel like. And unless I'm missing something else somewhere else, um, to me it was just like it's my favorite part of the books. Um, Gandalf and the bridge, the whole bit, the whole, you know, sneaking around down there and trying not to get caught. Um, to me is just it's like the best part. It just is, and you get the goblins or the orcs or whatever, and the terrors of the unknown until you freaking come face to face with the Balrog. Come on, I mean, is there a better like dungeony uh, experience better than that? I really can't think of one, and I've read thousands and thousands of books, and I can't think of one that's better. It's like investing in SpaceX decades before you see a return on your investment. Yeah, with or without the players and NPCs being shirtless, squirrel hermit. I'm not sure what you guys are talking about. I guess it's plausible some real clever genius GM could arrange some intense quest for some superhero paradise Genesis magic. Yeah, that could absolutely. Um, Earn your happy ending is a great trope, but there needs to be something to earn besides another day. Yeah, I mean, because I could just not play and be better off for the experience. Characters born into a world with redeeming qualities that are at risk of being lost versus born into a world with no value foreseeable. Yeah. Um. Yeah. Well, I gave it a try, Stephen. I didn't like it. Um. Even it's just it doesn't for me uh qualify for the title of a science fantasy sci-fi. If you're going to throw sci-fi in there, can I start with some sci-fi, or is it just up to the whim of the GM? I'm not rolling those dice because too many times, like even in Gamma World, we played this one campaign where we never got shit. I mean, when it came to the tech, it would try to kill us, and we could never have any of it. Fuck that, you know. I want to play in a game where I don't have to start out as freaking like the characters from Fallout, but that would be kind of cool. Can I be one of those guys? Can I be like Travis Morgan? Remember this guy? I land in a fantasy world armed with nothing but my 44 auto mag and a crate of magazines loaded. Can I do that? No, I didn't think so because you're a pussy. Someone came to me and said, "Can I run that character?" I'd be like, "Fuck yeah, let's do that. That sounds fun. You're a smart guy, you know, smart fella. You want to play that character? Yeah, sure, cool. Bring it on. I don't know how you're going to carry all the magazines, but I'll give you a duffel bag or a backpack, and you can try and carry as many as you want. Maybe bury the rest. Come back to them from time to time, and yeah, you know all this crap, but you're living in a D&D world. Let's see what you can do. Yeah, your boomstick's going to scare folks. You're going to earn your big ass badass reputation. You have to make sure you keep it clean and functioning. And hope you don't do something really stupid with it, like use it as a hammer. And yeah, that could be your thing. Oh, and then you later on you pick up sword fighting and crap like that, and then you become the ruler of the I forget what the name of the world inside Earth was called in Warlord, but um, uh, Hyperborea is just it's just another to me. It's just another one of those cut and paste worlds. Let's grab a whole bunch of Lovecraft, which I'm getting bored with, and throw it in a bunch of you know in a world that's supposed to be in the future, but it's made up of people from the past. That's just more earthy shit. Can I play in a world that's like as little like Earth as possible? Now imagine the mimes of Moria, true horror. uh, Scouted Shires too, where the little people were taken away as slaves. Uh, Heaven or hell, but you can't tell, so it's hell. Uh, yeah, I mean, there's got to be something to shoot for, and there's got to be some beauty and some wonder, not just like dread. Can we bring back some wonder? Some like good times. Uh, I mean, is that too much to ask, or have we literally, begun to enter the ninth level of hell, and the end times are about us, and there's, all your games are going to suck and be miserable, and you can't even escape there. I mean, isn't that kind of the dream, or is your life so charmed that you can't even find a challenge in the real world? You got to go to some shitty fantasy world where everything is so dark you can finally feel like normal. It's like, oh, finally I get a challenge. Dude, I live in California. Going outside is a fucking challenge. You never know what kind of crazy psycho you're going to bump into at the grocery store. Plus, it's like our buddy Mike is 120 degrees for him the other day. We only got 105. That's kind of sucky, and we're in California, but it's got gorgeous sunsets. Every night I get a view like I've never seen before, except maybe here. And there's some good stuff, and we need that contrast. That's all I'm saying, guys. With no contrast, what's the point? Like which ethical quandaries there, Exnard? I kind of just thought the whole scouring of the Shire just really didn't need it. It didn't need to be there. Where Aragorn is granted magical longevity and elf-like qualities as son-in-law to elf royalty. Honestly, I think it was actually that his race actually had a little bit longer because he was the um, you know from the people across the sea, the other direction. That those people lived longer, and that's why he carried the bloodline that allowed him to obviously be king, but also to live longer, which was required or necessary To be a good king, you got to be, at the top of your game for, well into your 80s and 90s. Um, Otherwise, some young pup is just going to come along and take your crown, and have more energy and vitality. And I think it was also kind of like a magical quality with him being able to use the Palantir, uh, and also the King's Foil and things like that. His magical abilities. If you go into the original Player's Handbook, which is why I like AD&D so much, the original Ranger uh, could use crystal balls, could use magic items that pertain to ESP and telepathy and something else. They got the druid spells, but they also got up to first and second level magic user spells, which, out of context makes no sense. And I understand why every freaking ranger that came after that stripped them of all the cool shit. They left them with the druid spells, which, okay, but that's a completely different thing than what they had in the AD&D Player's Handbook. They were something completely unique, or something as close to Tolkien's Aragorn at his height, if and when Rangers got to that point. Ever since then, every Ranger since then, it's literally like they took Tolkien's idea and went, yeah, well, he was the last of the great Rangers, and we can't have anything but just good old fashioned mountain men who know how to track and hunt, and that's it. Oh, maybe if they stick around long enough, they'll bump into a dryad or a druid or a witch out in the wild who'll teach them some magic, but it's only going to be forest magic because that's all they can handle. Okay, that's the way you want to go. Um, until even later, or more recently, Rangers can't do even any of that. They're just a fighter who can track. Yeah, gay, just lame. You fucking unimaginative fucking twats. Can't freaking you can't have anything good anymore. It's all got to be freaking ground down to its like most boring, average, normalish kind of thing. Where's the wonder in the Ranger? The Ranger used to be something freaking like everybody's favorite class back in the day, where Aragorn is granted magical longevity. Oh, okay, read that. The Woke is against heroes. Yeah. I don't know if he was part Elven, but well, his son sure was. Um, but that's you know, I base a lot on any game that came after 1E, because that's all they did was make things harder and took out the cool shit. Um, and I mean, they forget that a first level character has literally the lowest chances to do anything, period. Okay? Their saving throws are shit. Their chances to hit, even a first level fighter's chances to hit, are crap. Okay? Go look at the numbers. They're not very good. Um, and yeah, everything gets better from that point. But that's the difficulty. That's the hardness. It's baked into the numbers. You don't need to like add new rules to make things even harder. The likelihood, if you were to get some serious computer guys in there and calculate the odds of first level character survival to 10th level, you're going to find that realistically, if you could get the right number crunchers. Um, uh, you were not wrong, Daryl. You'll find that probably less than I don't know. Let's just say 1 in 10 would make it to high level. Okay, that's pretty hard. That's 10% chance. Let's just say those are the odds. Maybe they're worse. Maybe they're a little better. But like, if I went to Vegas and I knew every game there I had less than a 10% chance of winning, I mean, would you throw your money away? Would you gamble? I don't gamble because of those reasons. I know the chances are actually worse unless you're really good at it. And if you're really good at it, you're cheating. So Why give you my money? For that. I mean, there's other ways to have fun there. But why take that kind of risk? The payoff has got to be, more than 10 to 1 for it to be worth the risk of 10 to 1, and it's not. Daryl says, I always figured Dark Sun was for troubled players that were into self mutilation and sadism, projecting twisted fantasies. Just my take, yeah. But see, that's the thing is, Daryl. It's not the only game like that. So many more games came out that said "Hold my beer." Like a lot of games. I mean, if you look, um, how many games are like that? Um, I'm not going to say it's the majority, but it's more than the 33% kind of minimum that I would accept. Good, bad, and different. If the bad is more than 33%, then then the good needs to be more than 33%, and then the middle ground uh, gets shrunk until you end up with just good versus evil. In which case, I'm going to be on the side of good. Just um, right. I mean, what's the profit elsewhere? With the good, people work together, and even if you're not at the top, you're not at the bottom ever. But with evil, you're either at the top or the bottom. Period. And the people at the top don't share power ever. So the odds of being the top dog, the Sauron, isn't even on the table. There's no chance of that. So you're just going to be at the bottom, and you know that doesn't sound like fun because we all know what happens to the bottoms, right? No thanks. Not. If the people, if Aragorn's, ancestors were Elven, I don't remember that. And in which case, if that was the case, then Elrond should have had, very little argument about him and Arwen, or Aragorn and Arwen getting together. Um, to me, it seemed like part of the reason for him not wanting them to hook up was he's just a man. Why would you do that? That's gross. Um, but since then, it's been a huge trope. Even in the book I'm reading, there's like a human and elf about to get together if they haven't already. That was part was kind of vague. Fade to black. Um, I mean, you're a guy, you're writing a fantasy, and you're into that sort of thing. You're going to throw that sort of thing in there, and not too many people complained. I don't remember hearing anybody like, "Ooh, gross, elves and humans." Never heard that, um, except for maybe from the imaginary elf opinion, be like, but everybody else was like, "Yeah, that's cool. Let's do that." Let's have half elves and half Vulcans and you know shit like that. Um, which you don't really have on Earth. It's like, yeah, let's go have some half chimpanzees. That's like the closest thing you got, right? Because we're all humans, so there's none of that. And I know there's some weirdos out there trying to make goat babies, but um, thankfully that's not producing anything. So gross, right? That reminds me, not the conversation. I just saw something on my table. I need to work on my speed stick speeder. I was going to do that last night. No, I was actually going to do that Tuesday night, but Bloodworth was still in the hospital. He's out now, I believe, doing fine. I was going to work on it during his game, and I totally spaced. So I should probably find that box and break out the stuff and start doing the thing. Um, it's way the hell under my desk. Excuse me, I'm going to be weird for a second. There we go. Uh, a good D&D adventure setting would include a wilderness setting with wise, benevolent lone NPCs, rangers, druids, wizards, hermits, sages and seers giving quests for reagents, for advice and empowerment, or something similar. Sure, sure. Um, or whatever else. Excuse me. Extreme close up. Whatever else the PCs want to do. Unless you've got like some like specific thing, like one of the game I'm working on. There's a very specific thing. Um, some might say, "Oh, a little railroady." Well, you know what? Don't play. I want to see if you can have an espionage game. Very as close to uh, James Bond, the Avengers, even Get Smart, the Man from Uncle. Oh shit! I forgot to paint this. Hmm. If you can do it and it uh, be a viable sort of option, you know what I mean? Because if you just happen into it, like your player characters just happen across a plot or a scheme or something like that, it's the same thing. Everything the GM puts in a game um, is the beginning of a railroady situation. If you take this hook, you're going there. And if you don't take any hooks and you just do whatever you want, then it's really just a power fantasy. In which case, the GM is just uh, doing whatever you want him to do, to make your dreams come true. And that ain't my job. You know, you want to do that. You want to run me through a game like that. You won't like the results. You'll feel very unfulfilled, like you're just there to facilitate somebody else's power fantasy, and that feels dirty after a while. It really does. When the players are just like, it's all about their self gratification, and you're just helping it along. And you'll find that the more you help it along, the darker and uglier it gets. Because it'll never be about making the world a better place. It'll be about making their world a better place for them, not the. Always, always. Trust me. Um, I know people who say, "Well, we did it." No, you didn't. You think you did, but you didn't give everything away. You kept it all for yourselves to make yourselves as powerful as possible, so you could be the lord of your own little domain. You didn't give it all to the people. You didn't make the world a better place. You made your world, a better place. And if you're okay with that, cool. But I did that. I did that for a long time till I realized, hey, this kind of sucks, and these guys are just getting, they're pushing it every time. It's like, what can we get away with tonight? Yeah, let's go over there and kill all those people and take their stuff. Yeah, and inevitably you got two choices: you kill their characters through everybody in the world going, yeah, we're not putting up with you guys anymore. All the paladins and all the rangers got together and had a meeting, and they put an order out for your immediate termination, and they won. Or you just let them keep doing it and doing it and doing it for fear of losing the game, in which case you lose a little bit of your soul. So don't do that. Just just don't do that. It's not worth keeping a game going. It's like, yeah, you know what? I'm tired of running this game. Hey Jimmy, you want to run a game? Yeah. I want to run an evil character. Can I run an evil character? And watch how quickly they're like, yeah, fuck no, no, I ain't doing that. Because that's literally what you'll get. And, let's see. So speed stick, cockpit. What do you think? Front end? Is that too weird for the front end? I think I need to get rid of this little part right here and recess it in. Is that like too weird a front end for your freaking speeder? Make it look like what? Is that kind of cool or no? It from my angle, it does look kind of cool, but at the same time, it looks a little like a little too much. And then there's the cockpit, which I need to start cutting these off because today's what, the fifth or the sixth. Rangers and are pretty sweet. Can they do any of the things I just mentioned, or can they do cooler stuff? Can they start with a freaking a musket or a bolt action rifle? Or are they just another freaking woodsman that's real good at tracking and shit? Because uh, I want something, fantastical, not just. I don't know if you guys know, but I spent some time in my early career as a working for the forestry department, and I can track and I can do all kinds of wood stuff, you know, um, woodsman stuff and things like that. I don't know, Hungar, are you still here? So just being able to do that, that's not impressive. I can shoot a bow. Um, Probably not great with a long sword, but I know the basics. You know, I can use a sling. I can use a bullwhip. I know how to use an axe. You know, so and I got my second rank. I forget what it was called. I got an award. It was like basically a promotion. So made second level, and it wasn't just making first level because I was far more accomplished when I joined than just that. So you know, I know a lot of folks are not are just city guys. So to them it's a little more impressive to be a ranger. But I'm telling you, your average ranger, first level guy who can do what I just said, once upon a time that's all we had here in the states. Everybody was like that. Ask James and Hungar. As little kids, they lived out there. They did that. That was just life. So giving the ranger the magical stuff, the ability to use magic user stuff, and the ability to later cast spells and do that kind of crap, which I'm pretty sure James and Hungar can't do. Sorry, I don't think if you told me you could cast a freaking magic user spell, I would say, okay, I want to see a magic missile on camera. Okay. Um, Uh, I did. I used to back in the day with my old man, and I tried to during COVID, but they made it impossible to find everything but primers, and makes it kind of hard to reload without primers. But yeah, we not only did we reload and shoot them, but we sold them to our customers. You know, by the buttload. We're just cranking them out. Mostly 9 millimeter, some 45 ACP, and some 38. No 22, of course, because why? Uh, Arduin and AD&D for the win. Yeah, I'm. Like I said, if you look, and I have, if you look at the numbers, and the abilities, everything, you got less for the same shit that you used to do. Okay, I played AD&D for more than a decade, and when the other stuff started coming out, I'm like, with one exception, and that was Palladium. And my guys were all big on Palladium because they got to swing and roll dice more during their round of attack, and they thought that made it better. And I'm like, you understand that while you get to do that, so do they. And eventually they're like, yeah, and our magic users can't do a lot of the stuff they used to be able to do. Like, yeah, because those spells don't exist in Palladium. And making a magic item, oh, forget that. You can't do that ever. But if you want to swing and roll dice, you can do that. If you want to cast big, gnarly spells and drain magical energy from the ground and the ley lines, great ideas. But you know, power for power in the way of what you can do and how you can affect the world diminishes with every game uh, after that. It just gets harder to do. I'm like, the formula for making a magic item in AD&D was pretty simple. You had to get the ingredients to make the item worthy of holding the spells. Then you cast enchant item, and you held on to the item, and then cast whatever other spells you memorized into the item. And in one day, like say you were a 12th level magic user, right? And you had enchant item, and then you had two or three fifth level, all the way up to like, five first level spells. You could just pump all those spells that you memorized into the item, and you're done. And basically, what you create is an item with a bunch of charges of those spells in it, and that's it. You're done. Next day, you're off into the woods with your new magical ring with, like 15 spells. Yeah, they're one use charge, but that's like really amazingly powerful when you think about it. And every game since then said, no, that's too easy. And mind you, that isn't really that easy because there is a chance you could fail. And you do have to get all the things. So getting, to the point where you cast the enchant item spell, it is a bit of work. The GM can make it really, really hard. But if you're just making something kind of simple, like that, it's just I'm going to take a solid gold rod, right? It's just a stack of, like 500 gold pieces, just glued together in a freaking wand shape. And I'm going to top it with a ruby that I found in this dungeon. And I'm going to have some, smith put it together and make sure it's a gorgeous looking, wand. And then I'm just going to cast these spells in it and call it a day. Your GM would have to like try real hard, or you'd have to roll really poorly for it to not work. And that was it. I mean, I don't know about you, but one day's worth of spells it'd be like the equivalent of taking all your spells for one day and just putting them on a scroll, and then just having an extra whole day's worth of spells. That can mean the difference. That can be more than enough to go into a dungeon and be able to really kind of kick ass. If you plan ahead, you know what spells you want. Yeah, primers and powder. Powder wasn't really hard to get, but they didn't think people were going to be making pipe bombs or anything stupid like that. But they knew that if you didn't have primers, you wouldn't buy the powder either. Um, and now I probably could, but I need to get a new ID, otherwise I can't buy shit. And I hate the DMV, and I haven't used my ID in like 4 years. I haven't had to show it to anybody, so I'm like, yeah, well, if I get the ID, then I'm gonna go shopping. If I don't get the ID, I don't go shopping. And since I haven't, run out of anything, yeah, yeah. Athens is a great place to visit. Sure, but there's also better places to visit. I mean, why not Arrakis? Why not freaking, any of the 100 other worlds we could probably think of, uh, where I'm not going to risk dying of thirst just because I'm there. You know what I mean? That's a big one because like the rule of three. 3 hours without shelter, 3 hours without water, uh, that sort of thing. Well, I don't want to go 3 days without water. I'm just going to make sure that that's never going to happen. I'm always going to be within a day or two of water and don't have to worry about that shit. Um, but saying yes, let's go to that place where we can die of thirst. Because the thing is after like 2 days, you kind of don't really have the strength and energy to go look for the water. Even after one day, you could be pretty tore up. A lot of people just aren't prepared for that. But let's say you just go 2 days without water. Um, Yeah, and people fucking freak the fuck out whenever you try to like throw those kind of things in there. Well, there should be water everywhere. No, you're on a fucking desert. There's no water anywhere. There's no water for a freaking month. No matter what you do, unless you get the cleric spell create water, you're fucked. In Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, there are some rules to limit magic items with runes. One item could only have up to 3 runes, and the rule of jealousy would make so other magic items couldn't be. See, just tell me you don't want magic users in your game, and I'll be fine. I can run a thief. I can run a fighter. But when you make a rule like that, you're literally saying, yeah, your magic user players, you're really not gonna. This isn't the game for you. We might as well have a stamp on it saying, no magic users allowed. I mean, do you not see that? I mean, you got choice of that, or you got the choice of what I just said, and what I just said is not easy, but it's not so prohibitively uh, punitive that you're not going to have a good time if you've played other systems. White Box didn't do it. AD&D didn't do it. As far as I know, BX didn't really do it. Nor did 2E. I mean, you could, if you're a 1E player going into 2E, you could always say, hey, man, how come I could do this with my other character on your same world, but because we converted to 2E, I can't do it? No, man. No. You can take those books and you can throw them away. I'm not playing that. My other character could do that. There's no justification for suddenly I can't do it. Or what, you're going to make some catastrophe to justify the new rules? You're a shitty DM. You have uh, no sense of continuity. No, you're just gonna do things because this company told you to do it. You were perfectly fine running the world the way it was, but now because the company said we don't want you doing this, you can't do that. That's like saying you got to use their pronouns. You gonna do that too? If you take a friend, you can take turns. No, that actually doesn't. No, you can't do that. Don't do that, and nor your own, Dino. That is a myth. That will not help you out. Now, if you were to distill it, by turning it into steam and collecting the steam, maybe. But the other thing, just fucking no, don't do that. Um, it's called waste for a reason. You know, the best thing, the absolute best thing you can do, uh, is fall in love. No, is to not be in that situation. I mean, if you know it's a possibility that you could break down, you know, your car could break down in the middle of the desert, take water with you, and don't, make sure your car's not going to break down. Get it checked out. Uh, just don't do that. Just don't take the chance that the bad thing is going to happen, and you don't have to worry about those things. It's man. No matter what I do, you see that gap right there? I'm gonna have to freaking milliput the shit out of that. It's not gonna look good. Oh boy. Yeah, I was watching a video the other day. The whole drinking of what you said is kind of a myth, as far as I'm concerned, and as far as my research has taught me. Uh, and I mean, just just gross, right? It looks like it's at an angle. Fuck. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's your game. You do whatever the hell you want. But if you're gonna change the rules of your world because they told you to, you know what I mean? I mean, you made this world, and you were using rule like 1E, and then 2E comes out, and you're like, oh, I got to change my world. Why? Why do you think they did that? Why do you think they changed those rules? Do you think it made it better or just made it different? Personally, I think they just changed. some of those things because they wanted to be able to say, "Well, it's a new game, it's ours." They didn't make it better; they just made it more. In the long run, um, the, the treasure table says it all, guys. If you've got the DMG for 2E, and you've got the monster manual from 1E, take them out and look at the true treasure tables. Okay, 1E, you had these percentages to get this much treasure. In 2E, you had these percentages to get exactly half of what you got before. Suddenly, everybody's poorer, but the monsters are tougher. Why? What there's suddenly, inflation, and monsters just don't get paid as much as they used to? Hell, even the freaking dragons. You would think, if you look at the old 1E dragons compared to 2E dragons, you're absolutely 100% correct, Daryl. Be consistent. Don't change the world because somebody else told you to. Same here, Xnard. And even then, um, like everything else I've looked at, it's like this. Uh, White Box came first. Then there was like Tunnels and Trolls, which is a completely different animal. Rune Quest, completely different animal. A completely different world and mechanics. All three of those games. Then what came out? Like Arduin and or 1E. And 1E was White Box without needing to buy two other games like Chainmail and Survival. To play one game, you have to have three. That's not a complete game. That's a third of a game, right? So 1E was like the what White Box should have been, because if you go through all the supplements in White Box, all that stuff kind of appears in 1E, and all the stuff that was missing from White Box is in 1E, like how to fight and how to do all the other stuff, and everything after 1E um, was just trying to. It was literally just a freaking Chinese knockoff with the serial numbers filed off, doing exactly the same thing. Um, just basically just ripping off Gygax's idea. As far as I'm concerned, everything fantasy related was just that. Traveler and sci-fi and horror and Western games and stuff like that uh, could be called their own to a point, because they're completely different genre, the same idea of role playing games, but everything after that is just you know taking somebody's idea and changing it 20%. So I know there's no copyright laws on games, but I mean, if you made something, right, you came up with something, you know, and somebody came along and made something almost identical, maybe fixed a few of your mistakes, you'd still want some credit for it, right? I mean, it was your idea, and if you didn't come up with it, you know, there's a chance that it would have never been come up with. And if you're going to say, well, someone would have come up with it eventually, you're arguing for the bad guys. Okay, you know, uh, the originators of anything deserve their due and their credit for coming up with the idea. Nobody else came up with it before them, exactly like they did. Doesn't mean they were saints. Doesn't mean they were, you know, paragons of virtue, or you know anything other than men who just had a good idea that we all benefited from, and everything that's come after that, is standing on the shoulders of somebody else. And the way folks these days act, like by reformatting and doing better layout, you did anything other than better layout, Yeah, you're gonna have to do more than that. You're gonna have to come up with some serious, improvements and things. That's why I was really impressed with Joe's work for Dungeon Dwellers, because he said things that needed to be said that hadn't been said by most designers. They just assume you know that stuff, or didn't want to get too in the weeds of, like, you know uh, how you do it. Not or why you do it. Uh, it's really amazing how many RPGs I've read that really don't tell you how to role play, or how to run the game, and what things you should look out for, and how to handle, like problem players and cheaters, and disagreements, and things like that. That should be it. Games are like bands. Like what you like. Don't be a poser about it. Nothing wrong with people liking different. Yeah, no, no, but acting like they're so much better. They wouldn't even exist if it wasn't for the original. And the original was pretty damn good. The original was so good that all these other companies decided to jump on the bandwagon. It was so good that it stayed the way it was for like a decade or more, and millions of people were just fine with it. And it would have kept on going. I mean, there would have never been a 2E had it not been about money and things like that. If you know what I mean, think about it. It could have just gone on. Everything, all the splat books and all that other crap could have just been 1E editions. You know what I mean? But they had to make it 2E because they realized, hey, if we do that, we can tweak it every decade or so, and make all that money back again with a new bunch of people. And to me, I fucking hate that planned obsolescence kind of mentality. Yeah, that's um yeah, well, which once again, like I was telling Victor, uh you're taking out a third of the way you prosper, but making it doubly hard, on top of that, in other ways. Why would I want that? Why would I want that? Like it's not already, like I said at the beginning, like it's not actually hard to play a first level character. Just as is, the numbers say you're going to die 9 times out of 10. But I want it even harder than that. Yeah, yeah. Whip me more, daddy. No thanks. No thanks. I'm not saying I want it easy. I was okay. Yeah, Blue Box in '77 was crap. Yeah, I was so pissed when I opened up the basic box and went, "What the shit is this? I've already got a better game," But whatever. The wages of sin are sparse. Yeah, yeah. That we'll see. Um, the reprinted box sets were essentially for people who didn't want to ruin their original copies. Okay, my original copies of Arduin are in bagged boards. I don't open them. I don't touch them. They're 50 years old, or they're going to be 50 years old next year, or whatever. I don't touch them. I don't open them. There's no reason to do so. But every once in a while, I want to. I want to look at them, and I like the nostalgia, because growing up, for me, up until about 10 years ago, I would go through those books like every week. I would be like looking for stuff. Okay. It's for those people. If you want the info from Arduin and you want it to be easy to get to and find, you get the hardcover trilogy that's actually been reformatted. Like they took all the monsters from all three books and put them in one section. so you don't have to go through like where the frick is the air shark? Well, it's under A in the big chunk where all the monsters are. That's what I use for my games. But I bought Portal and then the Harbinger editions. One because I'm going to support my guys. I bought multiple copies of Harbinger. I don't need even one. I've got the hardcover. I've got the Portal. I'm never opening the Portal. I'm a collector. I want stuff in pristine condition so that when I die, my son can sell that shit and do whatever the hell he wants with the money. DM James, welcome to the show. Long time no see, bro. How you been?
I have opinions.
I know you do, but you also have an echo.
Well, then that means I need to turn something off.
Probably YouTube.
No, YouTube isn't
That's
on. The only
usually what
thing that's on is you.
could be me. I don't know. I'm just saying what I'm hearing.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, you're. Hold on, I can't hear what you're saying. Yeah, and the other echo's still there.
Oh, God. Sorry. Okay. I know what I do. There we go. Okay.
And you're also very gravelly.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, are you guys hearing that too in the chat? Is he like really gravelly?
Okay. That's not all right. How about that? Is that any better?
Much better. Real quick, Omen, I already went through that. Okay, they formatted, made it better. My 12-year-old brain could find everything I needed. So apparently, I'm either in the freaking upper 1% of the 1%, and everybody else below me is fucking retarded or lazy. And the rules changed it so you got less for doing the same shit you used to do and get. If I did this, I got X. Now, if I do this, I don't get it. Why? I want what I got initially. That's what I signed on for. That's what I spent a decade doing. Changing it. So what? So it's harder? Why would I want that? I'm only getting older. And as I get older, things get harder. You know what I mean? I don't want like everything on extreme mode. When I open up a jar of peanuts or peanut butter, I want peanut butter, not peanuts. You know what I mean? I don't see this freaking, oh, it's going to be harder. Why? Why? Because you have that much time to play. You still have so many more decades of gaming ahead of you. No, I got like years, maybe weeks or months. I don't know, but I'm not going to waste it trying to do the hardest fucking thing possible that's going to infuriate me and potentially give me a heart attack so I go out screaming about some dumb rule change. No thanks. I mean, I could literally be totally happy playing on easy mode for the rest of my life.
Well,
And
what
no one
is
would
easy mode, though?
exactly. Easy
Like
mode is
you
not
just said, you figured shit out super quick. So your easy mode is apparently a lot of other people's hard mode.
Mhm.
I
But
often think about that when we talk about THACO, how people whine and bitch about THACO. And I'm like, my 12-year-old brain picked that shit right up.
well, because what
So,
happened, I'll tell you what happened. Sometime after we graduated, or maybe before, they instituted the No Child Left Behind rule and stopped holding kids back. If you failed a grade, they held you back. They didn't just go, get out of here, nice, see you at graduation. If you failed, you didn't get to go forward. That's what happened.
it wasn't even failing for bad grades because I got held back in third grade just for social reasons.
I got held back in like I want to say first grade or yeah, like first grade, and it didn't. No, I didn't even get held back. I had to go to summer school. Excuse me. Made it up, figured it out. Went to summer school. As a matter of fact, I graduated high school 6 months early. Um,
Hmm.
so that's what it is. It is like the school system made it easier. I mean, we got people graduating from high school who can't read.
Right, right. Yeah, for me, it was just a matter of they called my parents in and they said that my grades would make me pass, but my behavior wasn't where it needed to be. And they felt like I should redo, like basically take a year. And, I was like, well, that sucks, but whatever. Anyway, though, I saw the ex Grognard, hi ex Grognard, and other people have opinions. And my opinion is this, guys, the perfect rules do exist. It's called Hyperborea, though. I'm sorry. I know that hurts some people to hear, but it is just.
I just got one question. Can the ranger use a crystal ball, medallion of ESP, and cast magic user spells when he gets to 8th, 9th, 10th, 12th, whatever the frick level?
Actually, I think they get druid spells.
Yeah, that's everybody made that change. They took away the magic user stuff because that was too on the nose TSR. And
I think they
I
took
totally
it
get
away,
it.
homie, because it doesn't make any sense.
That's the point. That's what makes it so charming and so unique. It doesn't make sense unless you look at it as a closest one to one comparison to Aragorn, the greatest ranger of all of literature.
Aragorn knew no magic at all. If anything, he had cleric spells.
Um, well, it's the crystal ball, as in the Palantir.
Oh,
Um,
anyone can use a Palantir, dude. You just walk up and look in that bitch.
sure, you could try, but what happens? Bad
Well, if
things.
Sauron's on the other end, he makes you crazy, like what happened to Pippin.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But I mean, Pippin looked in a Palantir, and what was he? He was a farmer from the freaking Shire.
Right, right, right. But it was at the time it was the closest way to emulate what Aragorn could do. Um, because if all your ranger can do is track and hunt, I can do that. I could do that at 18, and you could do it even earlier. That's not special. That's just life, living in the wilderness. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that is special because the vast population on the planet, I would say, my homie can't do that.
Not anymore.
Yeah,
But
I mean, they just,
they just
you
they
send
just
them
do
out in
this
the
shit.
woods, they die.
Right. But you and me and you, what age were you when you could freaking be miles away from home in the woods and make your way back safely every time?
About
12?
13. Yeah, 12,
Okay.
13.
So at 13, you were a first level ranger without the hit points.
I don't know. I might have had the hit points too. I did survive shit I should have died from.
Okay. Okay. Maybe you had 2d8 plus 2 times con bonus. Awesome. I didn't. I
In
probably still.
Hyperborea, there's actually like three kinds of rangers, though.
Hmm.
So it really depends. There's like a fighter ranger, there's a thief ranger, there's like a cleric ranger. They're all called different things. Like the ranger's the fighter subclass, but then you've got the scout that's like the thief subclass, and then But I'm looking up ranger to see what they even can do. They
Daryl, they're talking about Hyperborea. That's just like the full title.
well, some people remember the old name of it from first and second edition, which was Astonishing Sorcerers and Swordsmen of Hyperborea. That's why you see Steve always put down like
Mhm.
AS and S, whatever. But so in here, your Rangers got alertness, so you can't surprise them so easy. They can ambush, so they get bonus to surprise.
Mhm.
They can climb stuff, they can discern noises.
Mhm.
They're good at hiding, move silently. They're good at killing otherworldly enemies. They can track.
You
They
see, okay,
can conceal their
hold
tracking.
on, hold on. Let me stop you right there. Everything you just mentioned, everybody can do. Period. Maybe not that. Maybe not the not be surprised, but everybody can hear. Everybody can try and sneak.
Well,
I,
this is above and beyond. This is rolling dice
and
for shit other people can't.
but your percentages at first level are piss poor. I'm guessing because they've got a scale, right?
Right. Well,
Okay,
look here though.
that's
Traverse
not real.
overgrowth. I did that in Kentucky, and boy, did it suck.
Mhm.
They got
And
wilderness survival. They can be melee experts. They can use scrolls, but druid
that's
scrolls.
that's interesting.
Hold on. Decipher and invoke scrolls from the magician spell list. So
Oh,
apparently they can do druid and magician spells,
that's closer to 1A. I'll give them
starting
kudos for
at
that.
seventh level.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. Look here. At seventh, they can do a druid spell. At eighth, they can do a magician spell. Then they get another druid spell and another. So by 12th level, they have three druid spells and three magician spells that are gained automatically. No need to study, qualify, roll,
Mhm.
etc. And
Sorry to hear that, Richard.
let's see here. They're on a die 10 hit die, which is the same as a fighter. But no, so I learned something today talking to you, Shadow. They get druid and mage spells.
See, that's awesome. I totally know it makes no sense. But see, here's the thing. That's what makes it uniquely like theirs or TSR's is it had its own built-in reasons because this world is not our world.
Right.
And I want that. I want your like the thief being able to use magic user scrolls at like 10th level or whatever. That was fucking awesome. Oh my god, a thief who could do that and do it consistently suddenly became a fucking brand new character class. You know what I
See,
mean?
this is one of my favorite character classes, the Warlock.
Um,
It's a fighter mage, but when you choose to be the fighter mage, the Warlock, you get to choose which school of mage. I love that.
that's cool. That's cool.
So you can
Um,
be a fighter necromancer.
cool. I guess if you
Yeah,
like
they're
playing
called
evil
death
characters.
soldiers.
What's up, Paladin Forge? Yeah,
No, I mean everything you guys love about AD&D, this game does everything. It just does it with more and better. And I say
mm,
that as somebody who absolutely loved AD&D First Edition and played it for like a decade plus. And now you can ignore a lot of stuff in this game if you want to,
you can do
but
what?
I said you can ignore stuff in this
Oh yeah,
game if
yeah.
you
Well,
want
we
to,
ignore stuff
but
in AD&D.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. Segments.
but
I ignored segments. I know a lot of people think that's like some kind of heresy, but I was like, nah,
yeah,
I'm not doing it.
you do and you use what works for you and your guys. That's it. And different people have different desires ultimately. I don't use armor and weapon speed and things like that because I've got like 2.5 or 3 hours to get through a game with four guys that want to get the story going, want to get the story moving along, and slowing shit down, rolling for initiative. Every round I think is fucking retarded. When you have 2 or 3 hours to play a game,
Right,
those seconds add up. Okay. And sometimes it can take like 5, 8 minutes or more to get the initiative order when you've got a bunch of people, tying the roll, like you guys both rolled five, okay, roll off. And then the GM's got to freaking, write it down and get it in proper order. And if you make a mistake and, you know, you got to start all over and things like that.
I
If it takes
mentioned. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I'm on a time constraint when I play, so I gotta streamline things the best of my ability.
Yeah,
I'd
yeah,
love to
yeah.
be playing in person where I got 8 hours to goof off, all day, but I don't. You know,
Okay, I mentioned to my group like 4 weeks ago about whether or not they prefer individual initiative versus group initiative. And almost every single one of them was like, no, do not change the initiative. We we have a guy at the table who everyone agreed rolls the dice six for group initiative. And of course, I rolled dice six for the monster initiative, unless I'm feeling like a dick, and then I make one of the players
Yeah,
roll.
see, I'm at the point where like Omen's character and a couple other characters have like an insane plus on their initiative, um, but the rest of the group does not. So I do individual.
Yeah, because you got to, otherwise you're screwing Omen out. But see, the thing is with Hyperborea, Dex does not give you an initiative bonus whatsoever.
8 characters will go first. No, otherwise I have to make the monsters literally 8 times more powerful so that something survives round one. Or
Um,
it's always, or it's got to be the ambush where the monsters finally get to go first because they surprised you.
but did you hear what I said? In
Mhm.
Hyperborea, there is no initiative bonuses.
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
mean, we've got a
that
player in the group with a 17 Dex. His initiative bonus is nothing.
right. Well, we've got characters with like 19s and 20s in decks, and that bonus they've
Is
earned
that
it.
first edition?
Yeah,
I didn't remember first edition even having initiative bonuses.
yeah, it's your dex bonus.
So the only people who might get any okay, the only way to get like an initiative type bonus in this game is your class, and it only gives you a bonus versus surprise.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't give you an initiative bonus. So pretty much unless a monster says gets a bonus to their initiative, right? It's D6 versus D6. And then after that, whichever side wins, whoever's controlling that side determines the order of action. So it's even more simple than what you're talking about. And my players love it. They did not want to go to a let's all roll individual initiative bullshit. They're like, no, roll the dice six and then we'll figure out who goes. And usually they just go clockwise around the table anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But you are right. My experience is different than your experience because I have people sitting here staring at me.
Mm-hmm.
And we play 4 to 5 hours a week on average. So it is
Owen, I'm gonna say it's got to be a bit of both at best. To think that Aragorn had no influence on the Ranger, that don't wash. I mean, the elves are freaking Tolkien elves, right? It, as far as I'm concerned, I mean they're
especially
like
in Greyhawk.
and then so if that's the case, then they clearly read Tolkien, which means they clearly read about Aragorn, a ranger. Which, I mean, for me, that's like where I learned the word practically. It's like ranger when it was completely clearly defined what a ranger was Aragorn.
Right.
Um,
I agree with you
Hero was
here.
great
Not,
character
not
and
that
a
I
great
want to gang
story.
up on Omenal, but I think you're entirely correct.
Well, if you've read Hero's Journey, it's like a Gamma World story that was in Appendix N in the future in Canada. Uh, no, I know that Omen about weapon speed,
I'm just
but
saying,
there's
I
rarely
never heard the term ranger as a fantastical class. I mean, I heard of a ranger, but it was like a park ranger. you
Texas
know,
Ranger, and even then I knew what they did. Especially the Texas Rangers. With going from place to place, traveling through the wild to get to place to track down the bad
alone.
guys.
Yeah, to fight five guys, one on five.
Or Ranger Smith from Yogi Bear. I got that, and I did
Yeah.
Ranger Smith's job for a while. I don't remember exactly how long. Better
But a
part of.
ranger,
But
as
anyways,
in a class of people that hide out in the woods and ambush orcs to protect the Shire and can use herbs and good at
what's
tracking
up?
and stuff
What's
like
up,
that.
Cold
That
Iron?
that's Tolkien, man. That's 100% Tolkien.
Well, in Hero's Journey, it's also Hero. He's but Hero's like part cleric and part druid and part psionic. So it's like.
Yeah, well, that's the future, but
Yeah.
like looking at my Hyperborean druid, if you were to or ranger, if you were to say, yeah, that's Aragorn, looking at all of his abilities, I'm like, yeah, you're 100% right. I cannot argue that point. That is Aragorn. He can use druidic stuff with nature. He can move through the woods and survive. He's even got a little magic.
Mhm.
He can do shit. And yeah. So I mean, yeah, I'm sorry, Omnow. I got nothing but love for you, but the D&D Ranger is Aragorn. Shadow's 100% right here. It's not even close. It's not even an argument. I can't even think of another fantasy book that even had a character like this that I've
It
ever
wasn't
read.
until much later. There were plenty later. There's one in Ursharak. There's one in probably Sword of Shannara, and other things. There's definitely one in
Well,
Magician
Sword of
Apprentice series.
Shannara is literally the Lord of the Rings.
I
If
never
you
read
look
it.
at the beats in the story, it's the same thing.
So is Ursharak and a bunch of other stuff. But prior to those things and prior to Tolkien or right after Tolkien, I can't think of one. Hero was so much more than just a ranger. You know what I mean? Uh,
Well, that's
all
sci-fi though, so I mean,
exactly. But it was a great story. I'm looking forward to reading the sequel to it. But I've got so much shit on my freaking reading table. It's crazy.
now I
Um,
would say though, if you really love AD&D, you keep playing AD&D. I mean, I played AD&D. I'd be a hypocrite to try to talk anybody out of playing AD&D.
mhm.
A couple of years ago, I actually went back and ran AD&D for a year straight, and it was
Yeah, I
first.
remember. I remember.
So I love
You know,
that first edition
here's
stuff.
the thing. I was telling somebody else the other day. It's like when I play, I've got like 2 to 3 hours. Okay, I need to if I'm going to run something, I need to run the thing that I need to use the books the least for
Right,
because I've got so much experience with it. I mean, I can run Palladium, but I'm going to have those books out because the
right.
numbers and the crunchiness is crazy. I ran Palladium for a decade or more, actually way more. Now that I think about it, but I'm not going back to it because I don't have uh, I just don't have that kind of time when I'm at when I'm doing this online. I don't have the time to screw around.
That's
You
the
know,
same thing that holds me up from Rollmaster, which I ran a lot of
yeah,
Rollmaster.
there's a lot of games I'd love to play online, but if I'm going to spend that much kind of time, in the books, looking shit up, it's not going to work.
You're
You
right.
know,
Damn,
and that's
Shadow.
it.
I've told you you're right like 5 times a day.
So
I
that's why I
need to
miss
mark
having
this
you
shit
around,
on the
man.
calendar, man.
Yeah, I've got that sheet where I've got the same thing at the same time that other people said some shit that I had to write down. Bruce said something that I had to mark on the calendar, and either you or Connell said something. I'm like, shit, I got to write this crap down, but I don't know where that notepad is. Um, but
Well, I'm so far I am agreeing with everything you've been saying.
well, let me ask you a question because this is going to come up in a couple of days.
Okay.
You ever watch Joe the Lawyer?
I don't know if I have or not. I mean, I
He's a,
I have watched a couple of lawyers. I watched that one guy that lives in Korea.
No, 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 no. This is one of Tankar's old, one of Tankar's friends, a guy he literally uplifted from less subscribers than me to like 5,000 6,000 subscribers. And I like the guy. He's all right. But he's got this new video that says like kind of like there's no such thing as a dungeon master. We're all journeymen.
Well, I mean, according to standard rules, a person can master skill in 10 years.
Well, it's 10,000 hours,
Right. Okay. 10,000 hours.
which is like
I would
417 days.
say that you probably have 10,000 hours of running D&D.
I calculated it a couple of. Owen was there. I calculated it's more like 120,000 hours because,
So,
like, while everybody else was working a job, I was retired at 35.
yeah, so
And
you're a grandmaster, maybe even.
And I'm like, dude, if I had put that much time being a doctor, you damn well better believe you're calling me doctor.
Right.
I haven't earned like a lot of crap in life, but that's one title I am going to take with me to the grave. Better be on my fucking tombstone. And any fucking, you know, let's all just get along kind of idea. Oh, nobody's a master. We're all still trying to perfect it. No, dude, I perfected it. Take that shit somewhere else. You know what I mean? If you're trying to make it so that other people feel more welcomed or whatever, fuck them too. Dude, I have done the work. Joe's done some
Yeah.
good work too. But I just like, what the fuck?
Shadow's
Dude.
full of piss and vinegar this morning.
I was like, well, yeah, that dude that pissed me off. I was like, dude, okay, maybe, because he is a lawyer. That's a hell of an accomplishment. That's some big ass money, if you do play your cards right, just like a doctor, you know. So while he was doing that, I'd already retired. I retired at 35. I don't ever have to work another day in my life. And I'm almost 60. So almost half my life I've been retired. And what do you think I've been doing with that time? Some stuff I'm not going to talk about. And then this. And I've done enough of this to be able to talk about it every day, Monday through Friday, blah, blah, blah. I'm
You
just like,
you know
dude.
what the difference could be though, and I'm gonna play like a little bit of a see for a lawyer or a doctor, the rules change a lot.
Mhm.
So that's why it's a practice. You're constantly like it's like even as a firefighter, one day CPR is one way, and then like in 3 months it's a different way. So you never really can master it because it changes all the time. But D&D is not that.
Right.
If you're running
It's, it's, it's,
AD&D, it
it's
doesn't
not even
change.
like doing your first year residency, for Christ's sake. That's why I'm like, dude, you understand how easy this is. I mean, I could literally game any situation without books in the room, without dice, and everybody would be happy. I guarantee I could run a game with the most. Dude, I've run games in the car while driving, not me driving, but somebody else driving. I've run games or played games in the ocean. Okay, walking to school on the phone back in the day. I mean, I've written stuff. I've had my name in lights, whatever. It's like, just no, dude. The whole we're all just trying. We're never going to be perfect. No, I'm perfect. Shut up. You've never met me. You know nothing of my work.
You
Just
know nothing, Jon Snow.
and I'm just like, no, no. We need to gatekeep. We need to have freaking hard lines in the freaking sand. Um, and that just just like it's just so. Hey, oh, so we all get a participation trophy? Is that what you're saying, Joe? No, no, you don't. You got to do the work, and then when you do the work, you get to sit back on your laurels and freaking, do dick all.
Well, the reward for being good at being a DM is you get to keep being a DM
Exactly.
because the
Old
players
Iron
want you to be the
Skillet says
DM.
dot.
I mean,
I see. The Dungeon Master is the master of the table. Um, Uh, it's also the master of many games, many genres, having written stuff, having stuff get published, things like that. I started refereeing in junior high as well, which is before Joe. He started 1980. I started 1978 or 79. And by the time I was 14, I was working at a game shop where I was dungeon mastering for people our age now. Okay, I had tables full every day I showed up. I had people of all ages and walks of life filling my table while the other dungeon masters were freaking staring freaking ray gun beams at me, all pissed off because they couldn't get anybody at their table. And I learned one simple, undeniable rule of dungeon mastering. It's really simple. It's like the simplest rule you could ever have when you're dungeon mastering. When you're going to dungeon master a game in person, everybody take this down, write this down. Before the game, maybe not right before the game, but the closer to before the game, the better. Take a shower, brush your fucking teeth. That's it, man. Oh, and I was a kind of a, handsome young man, 14, blonde hair, surfer kid, freaking running a fucking table and everybody having a blast. Versus a bunch of freaking aged hippies who smell like patchouli and God knows what else that other smell was.
Probably weed. They were probably like putting the patchouli on to hide the weed.
I don't think it was weed.
It was California, you know.
I know, but I know what weed smells like. I don't know what that other fucking smell was.
Uh, Vagina.
None that I was all that familiar with at the time or since then, thank God. But there was at least one woman there who was, to this day, she was a nice enough gal, but she was gross as fuck.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. That is great DM advice you just gave.
It's,
I do
it,
that too. That's funny because my players come over about 6:30. So at 5:30, I jump in the shower. Make
I
sure
mean,
I'm wearing like
you're
clean clothes.
you're performing. You know what I mean? You're literally doing a bit of a performance. The least you can do is, brush your goddamn teeth, right? I mean, if you're not
Yeah,
going to take a shower, maybe you took one in the morning. That's fine. But I mean, if you're going to be
nowadays,
talking to
Shadow,
people,
I wear my shirt. You know what I mean?
hmm
So now I have a uniform when I run the game. I
hmm
always put on one of my James of Hyperborea shirts with the puppy on it. And
yeah, I
it's
mean,
kind of the thing,
it's like I said, it's a performance. You got the costume, you got the makeup, you got the freaking hair, whatever. If it was a
Yeah.
girl, I'd expect her to do all that crap. As a DM, and you're the master of ceremonies. But participation trophies for everybody, whoever
Yeah. I'm lucky. I game, like I
whatever.
always
And
say, with a bunch of professionals, like job wise.
Mhm.
And so these people take care of themselves. I never really got to worry about, you
Right,
know.
right, right. And normally, the people I invited to my house back in the day, pretty much the same thing too.
Right.
Although sometimes they came right from work to be at my pad, and it's like work's over, they're rushing over to Shadow's place. They're gonna play till like right before midnight, then drive home, go to sleep, and go to work the next day. I mean, wasn't gonna freaking
Right.
be too
Right.
critical of people that were that dedicated to the game that I ran with them for 15 years.
Yeah.
This was every day. There was no like, we took off time for holidays and things like that, but we literally played Monday through Sunday. I mean, literally every fucking day. Maybe somebody might not make it, but there was always a game every day,
Well, you
15
guys are
years.
hardcore, man.
And during high school and middle school, every day after school. If not, we were doing, somebody was doing something, but that was our thing. We didn't, and if we weren't doing that, we were in the garage trying to, become a famous rock band. That didn't work out, so we played more D&D, you know,
Mm-mm.
and
No, I
uh,
respect it, man. I respect the hustle.
it's uh, it's just a accumulation of a massive amount of hours, and I realize, I'm probably uh, not just blessed and lucky to be able to have done so, but most people can't do that. It's like every other weekend, every weekend, every this day once a week is by far the average, not 7 days a week.
My favorite thing when I was out of the army and in my 20s about D&D, and I don't know if you've talked about this before, was that the monetary investment for the entertainment was like almost nil. It was like
hmm
once you had the books, You know, because I was
It's a good
in my
point. I don't really
early
usually
to
talk
mid
about that.
20s, I was so poor. Like I couldn't afford to go to movies or anything, but I could have my bros over and we could all sit around and play D&D for like hours and be like social and have fun and stuff like that. And I think that's something that people might think about too,
It was, it's weird you mentioned that because like, uh, it wasn't that it wasn't really a matter of the money for me, not seeing like all the movies that everybody else I know saw. It was that I was already making my own. There was nothing in the theater that compared to the games that 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 I was in or part of. For the most part, every once in a while there'd be something, but even my friends, there's like, you want to go to the movies? No, I want to play some D&D because they're the star, they're the freaking hero, they're the, you know, whatever, they're in this thing that's way better than any fucking movie. I mean, most of us have at least one campaign that was better than all the movies you've ever watched put together.
I have to agree. You're not
And
wrong.
and for so many of us, that was it. It was like, yeah, how can the movies compare to what we're about to fight the dragon tonight? Fuck Pulp Fiction. Yeah, I'll catch it some other time. I'll catch it when it comes out on DVD or whatever. We're going to fight the fucking dragon tonight, and shit's on the line. You know what I mean? It's it's
Right.
it's, it's still entertainment, but what's more personal? The people who made Pulp Fiction are never going to know your name. They don't care. If they meet you, they'll shake your hand, let you take their picture, and ask you to toddle the fuck off. They're not going to invite you over for a drink. You know,
Right.
they don't care. They don't
Well,
want to know you. They want to be
watching
left
movies
alone.
is something I do when I'm alone and no one else is around.
That's kind of the way I've had to. That's my experience now because the wife doesn't understand what the fuck's going on, and Jackie's too busy. You know,
Right.
like I've been trying to get him to watch Solomon Kane. I'm like, dude, this movie's fucking awesome. You'll love it. You know, big badass fucking Christian hero killing freaking demons and shit. Let's do this. Like, making a video. All right, we'll watch it later.
They did a pretty good job, honestly,
Dude,
of that. I liked
hold
it.
on. You haven't seen this. Ugh, I'm still holding off on it. Can you see that?
No, because I'm watching you on TV while I'm talking to you, and the TV is like a couple minutes behind.
Oh, okay. Well, it's the
Oh,
it's
see,
the
you're
Sol-
going to get it now. Now you're holding it up. Holy shit! What is that?
this is the Solomon Kane RPG Vault of Miniatures.
Oh,
100.
so like the Conan one I have, except for Solomon
Yes,
Kane.
yes, because I like Solomon Kane a little more. It's 100. It's 100 miniatures plus a bunch of templates and 20 double-sided floor tiles. I
Wow.
got it. I got it and the RPG slipcover box thing, and it was half price over at Monolith for a short period of time. Now it's sold out, and I grabbed that shit because
Jealous.
it does. And you know what? I haven't even opened it up the box. I opened up the slipcover, looked at the rules. I was bummed because it's Savage Worlds or Savage Lands or whatever the fuck. I hate that. Uh,
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
but
I
I'll
wish
read the
they
shit out
were
of it
just
for
a
the
two
lore
dice
to see
or
what
something.
I'll figure it out. Uh, but I'll still read it and get some ideas. But I got the minis and I got some floor plans. 20 different, so 40 different floor tiles that I can put down. For various places and 100 Solomon Kane minis. But I haven't even opened up to look at the minis because I'm not doing any of that till September. Because September through November is freaking gothic horror freaking season this year. I've got vampires. I've got the Sigmarite Mausoleum. I've got a couple of gothic horror games to review. I'm just gonna freaking do it up. Ravenloft. It's gonna be like 90 days of freaking gothic Ravenloft goodness.
For you.
Uh, and then we'll roll into, Thanksgiving and Christmas and do some Christmassy shit, and it'll all be awesome. Omen loves Monolith minis, and I was going to get the Conan, but it was sold out when I went there. For that, for the two things, it was like $100. And I'm like, okay, right off the bat, 100 minis. I'll pay $1 a piece for minis.
Yeah, the
You know.
fact that you got like half off, that's a hell of a deal right there.
hmm
I mean, that
But
is
I'll do the
amazing.
full review of all of that. In a little bit less than a month, or about a month, whatever. Um,
Yeah, that is
I,
amazing.
it does look good. Even if I hate the game, there'll be plenty of lore and ideas to mine from that, and I can put it on a shelf and forget about it. But if I need or want to use those kind of minis, I got those kind of minis now. Um,
Well, a
especially since
question. Um, there are other games you could absolutely use for Solomon Kane,
Mhm.
right? I mean, you could almost use the Warhammer rule set.
Here's an idea. I can use AD&D.
You could use AD&D easily.
Mhm. Your cleric could easily be a vampire hunter. Your ranger, your fighter, um, all those guys can be freaking, you know, Van Helsing slash Solomon Kane kind of characters. It's not about them so much as it is about what you throw at them and where you
Right.
throw it. Where you, I'm working on this new D&D world. It's kind of a low magic setting for my espionage fantasy game, and I put this place on the map. It's called Ravenhurst. Sound familiar? I mean,
Yeah.
you can already imagine what that's going to be like. It's just not Ravenloft, um, and yeah, it's going to be like that. It's going to be like fucking Transylvania and all that shit in one little country. You want to go there? No, okay, you don't have to.
Yeah. You know
If you want
what
to, it's
might
good.
even be better, even though it's not like, okay, this is total opinion. Um, like Call of Cthulhu,
hmm
except instead of, well, you can throw Cthulhu monsters, but since it's a skill based game, I mean, Solomon Kane, you could give him like sword fighting and
hmm
and he could just be whatever.
Yeah, I could literally run it in Traveler. Okay, it's really about setting mood and challenges. What's that's what makes it. It's not the mechanics of what the character can and can't do that makes Solomon Kane or Ravenloft what it is. I mean, because if you notice in the books, it never talks. I mean, in the Ravenloft books, two ebooks, there's very little about the characters you can play. It's all about the shit you're gonna have to deal with. You know, okay, I can do that. I can do all of that crap. I've done that shit before. You're running a druid, an illusionist, and a thief acrobat. Okay, well, it starts getting foggy. You know, let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're on the money. AD&D would work just fine. I mean,
Now it
Solomon
would
Kane
be
is basically a fighter or a paladin or something.
could be a ranger.
Could be a ranger.
It's all about how you play the character and your motivations and why you're hunting the things that go bump in the night. You know, and see, I got this game a while back called Gothic Horror Vampire Wars. It's just a skirmish game, right? Where you make up like your army might be Dr. Frankenstein and some monsters and shit. My war band may be Dracula and some vampires, or it may be some cultists, or maybe Sherlock Holmes and Van Helsing and some Baker Street irregulars. and you just freaking skirmish game, like that. And I'm like, hmm, I've got all kinds of crap for that. And it just started sending me down this rabbit hole of playing a skirmish game with not a lot of uh, role playing necessary just to get freaking these guys to fight in the middle. And then I realized I had this. I don't know if you've seen this. I've been holding on to this for years. I got this from Rob Oren, one of his auctions. It's called the Sigmarite Mausoleum, and it's just a big box set of little mini mausoleums and gates and stuff that I told myself one of these days I'll build it. And I'm like, hey, I need terrain if I'm going to do, uh, if I'm going to do this skirmish game. I'm like, hey, I got this box, and I never opened it, and I looked it up on eBay, and if I were to buy it now, it's like $300 sealed. I'm like, well, I'm cracking that seal, and we'll take a look inside. Turns out it's got like, multiple copies of the little mausoleums and the fences, and so I could like make all kinds of uh, battlefields, in cemeteries. Who doesn't want to freaking fight a bunch of freaking vampires or werewolves in a cemetery with your flintlock and your rapier, and your buddies with crossbows. So I started getting all this stuff for it, and I'm like, you know, I got a lot more stuff and a lot more stuff. I might as well just start Halloween early, so September 1st is fucking on all the way until like November 30th. And yes, the Solomon Kane movie was freaking awesome. I grew up as a young guy reading Savage Sword of Conan. Every once in a while there'd be this guy, this Solomon Kane guy. There'd be like one story. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
this is fucking cool as shit. Freaking, a brace of freaking flintlocks, a rapier, because I always had a thing for, fencing and stuff like that growing up. I'm like, this is really kind of awesome. Fighting vampires and werewolves and zombies. Yeah. Oh, wait. It's Robert E. Howard too. Oh, and it took me years before I could finally find the official, Solomon Kane stories. And I'm like, yeah, this is awesome. Sure, be cool if they made a movie. Then they did with one of my favorite actors of all time, James Purefoy. Uh, and I'm like, oh wow, this guy's awesome. He was freaking Cantos Can and John Carter. That guy's great. And the
Mm-hmm.
movie was like I was saying the other day about the movie. You could literally put that movie in between any two Solomon Kane stories, or even have it as the prequel, and it doesn't change or detract or interrupt anything, and it works like it was meant to be. I guarantee they would be great for that, Stephen. Do you know when those Ardo and Harbinger box sets will be shipped? Pretty soon, actually. Pretty soon. As a matter of fact, I need to talk to Joseph because he and I are doing a trade, and he said he was shipping me something that's also going to pertain to uh, my Halloween September. So I get to show that stuff off, but then he gets one of my box sets of Harbinger. I bought like five of those box sets just to give away and trade and stuff. Uh, and they're nice. They're very very nice. If you don't have the hardcover Arduin, or you want to have them at the table and have something that's not going to fall apart. He
Well,
plays
I was
King
super
of the Universe.
impressed with the packaging of Arduin. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah. They just wait till you see their paints and their new dice and their minis, and just dude, I was blown away. I was talking to the Dave. He's the president of Emperor's Choice. He's like, yeah, we got some paints, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'll check that out. He says, okay, well, give me a couple hours. I'll have all the SKUs up. I go over there, and the site had like 4 pages of things for sale. I go back, and there's 11. I'm like, there's like 30 items per page, you know. So I went and looked, and they've got like just a crap ton of paint, and the paints, their new paint is uh, designed by the same guy who designed AK Interactive, but went his separate ways.
Hmm.
And they've got dry brush paints and primers and the line of metallics. Like Army Painter has like 10 colored metallics. Well, they've got like 20 or 40, including metallic washes. You know how long I've been looking for like a metallic wash that wasn't the speed paints? Because the
Right.
speed paints kind of suck when it comes to being a speed paint. They're great if you just want a thin metallic color, but it's not a speed paint. They don't do what the speed paints do, um, which kind of sucks. Um,
Right.
yeah, those Conan swords, those were pretty awesome that Arduin put out. Um,
Oh,
I'm not
those
even
were
taking mine.
cool.
I'm not even taking mine out of the boxes. I gave Jackie his. He's like, "What am I going to do with these?" He's like, "I don't know. Just be grateful they sent them to you, and when your friends come over, you can stab them. I don't know."
Wow. Yeah. Uh, just hang out with them, man. They're like super. Like you're going to get all the chicks.
Yeah, well, there's a girl coming over today. Fortunately, she's got a boyfriend, but he'll find his girl one of these days.
I'm just saying, the Conan sword. Like,
Yeah, I did. I picked up my first one in '79. Maybe all three of them in '79, '79, '80, and I managed to keep them in pretty good shape. But I think because uh, I actually this is my second copy of them, and the first copy uh, fell apart or something. I don't remember. I just know I've also kept them in bags and boards for decades, so that helped. And after a while, I just know this stuff, so I don't need to like. I rarely pull out my D&D books, you know, uh, because that's the point is to not need them. But lately, I've been having this thing happen where right now I'm using reprints of the AD&D books from Drive Through, and two or three times last Sunday when I pulled up one of the books, I was looking for something. I pull up the book and I open right to the page I need.
I mean, again, you were talking about mastery. Like,
I'm like, okay, because I was looking up a monster. I'm not going to say which one, Cal, because you may be out there listening. And I open right to it. I'm like, you know, if this was my old copies, I'd be like less impressed. But these are brand new copies, essentially hardly used. Because because they're tight, and when your books get old, you get a better feel for them. Like I pull out a reprint. Oh, there it is. Okay, you know. And I did that three times that night, and I'm just like, I know my books way too well. I mean, mind you, the Monster Manual is only like 120 pages, but still, that's like rolling better than an O1 or double aught when you need it. And when, like I was saying, when you're playing online and time is of the essence, having to reach down and pick up a book and find the thing to make sure you're right about the thing, I'd rather not have to do that. But when I
mm,
do, it's really nice to be able to open right to the fucking page.
right?
You've had that
Well,
happen, right?
yeah. The only part of the book that I ever have to consult usually during the game is like the exact what does a magic spell do? Because for whatever reason, sometimes the
Mhm.
mage doesn't remember exactly,
Mhm.
and it's like, okay, okay, you know what I'm getting ready to do, Shadow, and it's your fault.
Mhm.
I'm getting ready to buy a Savage World of Solomon Kane role playing vault.
Role playing what?
The role playing vault,
Oh, how much is it?
114.
Sorry, man. Sorry. Let me know how
No,
they are. You'll.
you know why I'm doing it though. right.
because it's probably full of kick-ass minis.
Yeah, I'm looking at all the minis. About a quarter of them are Solomon Kane specific, but like the giant snake and the mutants and all the weird monsters and shit,
Hmm.
the Zulu war chief and all that shit, that's 100% I can use for Hyperborean.
Hmm.
It's got giant apes in it, which, as I've said multiple times, you can never have too many
Never have
giant
enough.
apes. So,
Okay,
so
well,
yeah,
I'm sorry you're paying like more than a buck a mini, but at the same time, you're only paying a little more than a buck a
I'm paying
mini.
$1.14 a mini. That is cheap.
That's better than Reaper Bones, white garbage,
Yeah,
plastic. I wouldn't even I wouldn't even give them away. They're so crappy at this point. It's just like the worst minis ever made are Reaper Bones white, literally.
the
But these,
original ones are pretty bad. They're just so soft, you know.
mhm.
It's just like, yeah, no. I,
And you're getting it from Monolith, who's actually going to send them to you from Miniature Market. But you'll probably get them and open them before I open mine. So let me know when you do. Make a little unboxing video because I'm not going to open the box. Because if I open the box, I'm going to then go primer them. And if I do that, I'm going to start painting them before September. And I got too much shit on my table I got to get cleared off so that when September comes, I'm just like doing gothic, horror, everything for 90 days. And I don't need that as a distraction. I keep it right here just as a constant reminder, but I'm not freaking opening it.
okay, so apparently I got this for I had to pay 17.29 to Miniature Market. So it ended
Mhm.
up being 131, and it is on the way.
Okay, okay. Yeah, that I paid. I want to say about 117 total. I don't. I almost bought the dice tray and the dice, but I'm glad I didn't because I went back to look because I was like I could have swore I bought the dice and the dice tray. Like, oh yeah, I didn't. And then I saw they were asking $25 for a set of plastic red and white dice, and I'm like, yeah, fuck that, fuck that. I can go over to friggin' Emperor's Choice and get some classy ass dice. They've got onyx, they've got actual stone, metal, and glass dice sets now.
Right.
I mean, I'm leery on the glass dice because while they're going to look really gorgeous, they're also going to break.
Right. That would be my problem with those because I have a tile floor in the kitchen, and if those
Same
things
here.
roll off the floor, it's like forget about it.
We've
You
got tile
know.
all the whole entire downstairs is marble tile, and if they don't break, they might chip the tile. But I did buy the set of onyx dice because they've got the Emperor's Choice logo on the 20, I think. Their little crown, so when you roll the crown, it's a 20. Um,
That's cool.
they've got some cool ass new shit, and I'm getting the entire line of paints. I'm paying for it because I'm going to do the test because I don't trust anybody else who's to say, "Oh, they're great" or "they're crap." I'll find out for myself. But it's like well over probably 100 different new paints with metallics that are just freaking gorgeous. I'm probably going to give away all my Reaper paints to somebody who needs paint because I never use them. They've been sitting here for a year and I just never fucking use them.
I probably should do something like that because lately, when I do any painting at all I use is my Vallejos, which I always use, and then occasionally some of the Pro Acryls or something like that. And I got
Hmm.
some AK Interactives recently, specifically designed to paint up American soldiers. So, yeah, I haven't messed with my Reaper paints except for the charcoal black that they sent me. I really like that paint. I can't help it. I mean,
Let me double check.
it's a good paint.
Are these Reaper or Viejo? Oh, the Reaper. My two kind of new favorite colors, Alien Goo and Phantom Glow. I use these a lot, but everything else can go because I'll show you why.
Oh, Phantom Glow is great when you're painting up aliens or something.
Or ghosts. I did this. I did
Right.
this Banshee last month. It was one of my best paint jobs, and it was so subtle. I like when I did the face. I did this dry brush, like blue or whatever one of the colors over black and a white zenithal. I hit it once, and I'm like, that's fucking perfect. I'm done. Wow. Um, but let me show you. Where is that bottle?
You
I
know
got this
what?
bottle.
I just thought I use that. I'm going to end up using that color for like a weapon.
It does look good on swords and plasma guns and things like that. But this is why I don't like Reaper paints. I had to write the name of the color on the bottle because the ink of the label just wears off like really easily, and I can't have that. I need to know what color paint it is. Um, I'm gonna do the paint the caps, like Squirrel showed us a while ago. But I can't go out and do that kind of primering right now because it's so hot that my spray cans just go and dry inside the bottle, and I can't freaking use them
Right.
because the cap it's so hot out there that they just freeze up and dry. And I tried taking the caps off and soaking them and using needles to clean them out. Nothing fucking works. A brand new can of paint, fucked.
Oh my god.
Dude, it's 110, 120 in my garage. So
No, I'm looking at a meme. It's got me, Trump, and Bear, and we're all three wearing like the most racist shirts ever.
okay,
It's like Bear's wearing the one from like Family Guy where it's got the okay, not okay with the color bar.
okay,
And Trump's wearing one that's got Floyd on it that says I can't mine, and it's like Minecraft. And I'm wearing a black shirt that says paper rules rock. So apparently
okay.
I'm a fascist, and we're playing cards. There's one with you too. It's just a wide open, beautiful field with a prairie, and you're just standing there. I don't get what this one's even about.
Oh, it's about what I was talking about earlier. I'm up to here with the dark and gritty, freaking Dark Sun, Mork Borg bullshit. Your game world is the ugliest, most awful place. It's one level below whatever the lowest level of hell is, and that's where we're gonna
Right.
go play and have a good time. Fuck it.
Um, in the new Dark Sun, according to whatever they're saying, the Dragon Kings, the Sorcerer Kings, have all been overthrown by the People's Movement. So they're trying to get like better on Dark Sun.
They somehow made it worse, didn't they?
Yeah, they've like outlawed slavery and stuff because the People's Revolution overthrew
Mhm.
the
Yeah,
rulers.
denying the players the opportunity to be part of that. They take all the credit for all that, you know, you know, resistance fighter freaking, cred and deny the players of ever even getting to participate. Fuck
Right.
you, you pretentious, self-righteous fucking pricks.
I agree because part of the you're right again with the agreement. I need to stop, but part of the whole
You'd be
point
my
of
biggest fan.
living in a world that sucks is that the
You make
players
it
have
better.
the opportunity to do something about it.
Mhm. Not just sit back and watch it. Say, thank you, Watsy. You fixed it again. Fuck you.
So
I hope
now,
you.
what is my player supposed to do if the world's being ran by
Well,
a
you're supposed to sit back
communist
and go to
revolutionary?
the go to the cafe and have a latte and talk about your feelings.
Oh my goodness, that sounds terrible.
Yeah, they
I
took it
already got
all.
to do that like once a month. I don't want to do that like in game too.
I'm just saying they take all the fun out of life.
It's like they do it on purpose.
They do.
But yeah, so that was something I saw Double D was talking about because he was
I
looking
didn't
at
even
it.
see that because that must have been after I left. Because come 4:30, 5 o'clock, my time is like an hour into a half hour into Double D's show. I'm going to watch Salty Cracker. Sorry, um,
Oh, I don't
Salty.
think anyone blames you. So yeah, you watch what
I
you
mean,
want to
if
watch.
his no, I mean if his show was earlier or later, I'd watch the whole fucking thing. But because Salty Cracker's show halfway through the show, he goes to Rumble, um, and
Right,
I've literally been watching. I've never missed a single Salty show. I've been watching him since he had less than 100 subs, which was still more than I had back in the day.
right. He's a
And while
hilarious guy. That's one thing about him. He's a funny
dude,
dude.
he is one of the funniest pundits out there, and it just it's literally like my morning coffee. I wake up and what's Salty doing? Oh, he's making me laugh again. Thank you, bro. Um,
Yeah, I watch a lot of his shorts
Shorts.
too, clips. Like he had the one where some guy, I guess it was California or wherever, over there was it is a guy that is literally running for government, and he was talking a bunch of shit. Long
Mhm.
story short, some big old dude knocked him the f out.
I saw that one.
Yeah,
I've
dude's
seen
laying
that.
on his back, and the air dude's just like, "Are we good now?" And it's like, "Yeah, that's what happens, man. That is what happens." And you can tell the dude that knocked him out did not want any problems because he kept being like, whatever, bro, whatever, let it go, let it go. But
Mhm.
then when it actually got to that point, it was like, okay, fine, you know, we're uh we're gonna beat this guy's ass, and he did. It was like, all right,
Don't
whatever,
start nothing, won't be nothing.
right? And it was weird because I guess the dude was yelling at some kids or something, and that's how it all started. It was like, but whatever. Salty had that too, and his take, and I was just like, Salty lives in California, I think.
Yes,
So
he does.
homeboy, and like you, I think he's got a Mexican wife too.
Well, Puerto Rican, but yeah, or
So okay, yeah.
Dominican or some. Not Mex. He calls her Mexican all the time, which is funny
Well,
because
my
it's funny.
best friend from the fire service, Miguel, was Puerto Rican, and I called him Mexican like all the time. And he'd always just look at me and be like, "Come on, James, you know I'm not Mexican." I'd be
Yeah,
like,
but that's
"But I
it's
thought you were, bro." And he'd be like, "A Puerto Rican man," and I'd be like, "Oh, okay."
well, you live in
It was
Florida,
just
so they're
fun.
Puerto Rican. You see, there's a simple rule. No, they're Cuban. Excuse me. What the fuck? He's in the wrong city, wrong state. If you're in California, they're Mexican. If you're in Florida, they're Cuban. If you're in New York, they're Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
That's
See, in Florida, it depends. If you're in Central Florida, they're Puerto Rican. If you're in South Florida, they are 100% Cubano. And for some reason, none of them like being mistaken for any of the others,
well, yeah, because they're just as racist as we are.
but against each other. It's
Everybody's
like
racist. Anybody who says otherwise is just dishonest with their own freaking self,
I
or they're
think
lying to everybody
it's not
else.
racism, Shadow. It's just you have your own in-group bias. You can't help
Or
it. Yeah,
preferences,
you have
experiences.
preferences.
I mean, but if you say you go through the worst part of town and you don't roll up your window, one,
It
you either
only
don't have
becomes
a car.
racism, I think, when you actually act on it.
Mhm,
But before that, it's not. I mean, I'm not trying to disagree. I'm just saying, in my opinion,
mhm,
because, like, yeah, you're right. When I drive through a shitty part of town, but I'm the
mhm,
same way with other things too. Like when I'm on the highway and somebody's driving really stupid, I always tell my wife, I'll bet you any amount of money right now that's a woman driver. And I'm almost always right.
mhm.
you know? It's like,
Well, and you know, you should think whatever your people are better. You
Yeah,
should never
well,
be like, those people over there, they're all better than us. You should never think that, ever. I don't care who they
it's a
are.
weird thing to think. I agree.
Thinking, it's a kind of like idol worship. Like, Japanese people are better than us in every way. No, they're not. They're just different. You may like things about them, and you may prefer their women. Who doesn't? But that does
Me,
you shouldn't think that way about, you know what I mean, about every single aspect of a group of people is somehow better than you. That's a kind of self hatred that just shouldn't exist. You know,
I have never been like one of those dudes that like had anything for like and a lot of the bros I grew up with, they were totally that guy that were like super obsessed
it's really
with
simple.
Asians.
When I was a young man, I heard the expression, men always marry their mother. One way or the other,
So
they
your
look for
mom was
women that
Mexican,
no, but well, that flipped a switch for me. I'm like, well, right off the bat, they're never going to look like my mom, so blondes are out of the question, and that was the thing. They're just they they never did anything for me from that moment on. It's like, okay, blondes are
so
freaking
marry
off the
your
menu.
mother. Hmm.
And then other things, I would make sure that they were as opposite my mom as possible, because one, I'm already highly attracted to the opposite of whatever I am, because that's normal and more healthy, I think. That way, the two people, they complement each other instead of being identical twins, which I find actually kind of weird, when a couple is like super, super like the same. It's like, how do you guys know you're not brother and sister or cousins? You're so alike. I mean,
Hey, don't knock the cousin thing. It's okay as long as it's second.
I wouldn't know. I've never met any of my cousins, so I don't know.
Right.
But
I
so
can
for me,
say the marry your mother thing did not work for me because I've had three wives and multiple girlfriends, and not one of them was a brown haired, uh, super skinny woman from Kentucky.
but I mean, you get it though. You know what I mean. You want them to be different, and for me, see, there was the other thing. See, my old man was like kind of racist, like in ways that I'll never be. Um, so the first time I brought home one of my first girlfriends, she was Thai. She was from Thailand, and he's like, "What the fuck?" And I'm like, "Oh, guess what? You're gonna see a steady stream of that. You know what I mean? Every girl I date is gonna be not white, just to piss you off, you fucking Nazi." Yeah, he was not. But it was funny because after he got to know her, he's like, "She's pretty cool." I'm like, "Yeah, you don't know the half of it." Um,
Yeah,
and
that's another thing. Like I've known people who said that kind of stuff, like where you think they were straight up like clan members or something, and then like their son or somebody bring home like their black friend from football at high school,
mhm.
and like 3 months later they're all hanging out on the couch like best friends and shit. It's like, yeah, I thought you didn't care for those guys, and he's like, oh no, this guy's great, man, I love him. And it's like, yeah. So I don't even know. I
Same thing.
don't.
My dad had a black friend. I mean, and everybody knew my old man thought he was better. Maybe he was better educated, but he's a better dancer. Um, Sorry, that was a wheelchair joke. And
Mm,
they were friends for a long time. But he was kind of like that way, when it came to, his mental faculties, because he was in a wheelchair and spent so much time reading and educating himself and exercising the only muscle he really could. He was pretty good at it. Okay, so you're big freaking smarty pants, big deal. That ain't everything. Um, There's
Well,
not
I
being a
think
dick
it's
about it
just
too.
it's easy, I guess, to hate people you don't know.
Hmm.
But then when the guy eats dinner with you and he's hanging out on the couch watching the football game, all of a sudden it's like,
Hmm.
this guy's all right. I don't know what the big deal is.
It's because when you got to pick a side, you got to pick a side.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
Because
I
someday
mean,
that's always a possibility. Not say it's always inevitable, because hopefully someday we'll never have that happen. I mean, we almost had that. Right before Obama, we were really close to never seeing that shit again. But it wasn't to
I get
be.
what you're saying. The grievance culture that come about kind of
Yeah,
screwed up race
yeah.
relations
I
because
mean, we were doing great. I mean, it was like almost a thing of the past. You know,
almost.
it was nice. It was like, we were all kind of, right where we needed to be, and
Well,
it's
I'll
going to
tell
take
you
some
what.
time.
My first wife was a crazy redhead. My second wife was a crazy redhead who also happened to be Puerto Rican. And now my third wife is a short little blonde.
So who are you killing in Conan as we speak?
I am killing the Sumerians in the Sumerian village. I'm sorry you can hear that.
It's okay. It's okay.
Because I
It's
have a
fun.
couple of thralls with me. I'm specked out so that I can have two of my little buddies with me, and I want to level them up. You know, so that they're because basically I'm at the point in this game where I'm basically playing like tower defense.
Okay.
So I take thralls out, I level them up, get them to a decent level, and then I set them up on my walls or wherever, and then I initiate an attack by like the NPC armies. And then if you beat that army, you get like good rewards. So that's kind of my deal. I've got a big fortress full of a bunch of guys in the best armor I can make, and yeah. Anyway, I think I'm gonna go get something to eat, dude. It's like 2 o'clock here. I
I'm going to go do some people stuff. The boys got kids coming over, so we got to tidy up a little bit,
Yeah.
and make sure everything's just so awesome having you hang out. James, missed you. Uh,
Well, I fell asleep last night at like 11:30. Yesterday, I was just wore out, and so I took my meds and laid down. I actually put on a Conan story on my Audible and fell asleep. It was the one where Conan goes to like the city to rescue the Midgard lady, and they end up getting into a big fight with Hyperboreans, and the Hyperboreans are like freaking wizards and shit, warlocks, and they summon the dead, and Conan gets captured, and they like f with him. And these Hyperboreans, they're the civilized Hyperboreans because there's two kinds of Hyperboreans, and these are the original ones. So they're the ones like tall, skinny, really pale hair, super weird eyes. So they're Hyperboreans like in the game Hyperborea, but they're from Conan. And it was one of the shorter stories that Howard wrote, like Cities of the Dead or something like that.
hmm.
So, and then in the end, he escapes and gets away. But one of the female Hyperboreans that captures him, of course, she becomes enamored of him, but she kind of tortures him and stuff too because she's a Hyperborean, and that's the kind of shit they do. So, like in the Conan game I'm playing now, you can get a Hyperborean follower, and there's Hyperborean armor you can wear, and it's all just like vicious freaking. It's literally called Hyperborean Slave Taker Armor because that's what Hyperboreans do. They just travel to the south and they kidnap everybody and make them slaves because that's just their deal. So But anyway, it was a pleasure hanging with you.
You too,
Uh,
James.
if I hang with you again, I'll try to be more disagreeable.
Okay,
Uh, but
I'm sure.
yeah, as far
I'm
as
sure that
today,
that won't be hard.
uh, I agreed
Thanks,
with
man.
all of your rants. So
Have a good one, James. I love you,
I
buddy.
will, sir. Thank you.
Take care, everybody. I'm gonna go do some people stuff. Me and the boy gotta, gotta get ready for guests and that sort of thing. You guys have a great day. I'll be back tomorrow morning with something in the early morning, hopefully, and then we'll meet back here. Deal, deal. All right, guys. Happy trails, guys.